And welcome back to the WCHE Morning Show. I'm Eric Clambera. Co-host today is Barry D. Joining us on the phone for our next segment, we have longtime talk show host Steve Wilkos. Steve, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Steve, good to have you.
Steve, they keeping you in a tunnel there? Sounds a little hollow back there.
No, I'm just in my kitchen.
Perfect. Make me some coffee while you're there.
We appreciate it. So, Steve, let's dive into things here. So we mentioned earlier on in the program, your show is in its 19th season now, and you've had a really impressive career path going from a U.S. Marine to a police officer, Jerry Springer's bodyguard, and now the host of your very own show. Could you talk to our listeners a little bit about your career path and how you've gotten to where you are?
Well, my father was paratrooper in the Korean War.
Wow.
Korean conflict, as they like to call it. And then he became a policeman when he came back to Chicago. And, you know, when I was growing up, my dad was Superman. You know, he's a big guy, weightlifter, and I wanted to be just like my dad. So, you know, when I was in high school, I wasn't the best student and would get, you know, ran with some rough guys, got in a little bit of trouble. So when I was graduating, there was no college in my plans or anything like that. So I went into the Marines, and I did 6.5 years in there, and I really loved it. But that's a hard life, and I miss Chicago, so I came back to Chicago, and I became a Chicago policeman. And, you know, I worked a lot of side jobs, almost all the policemen. You know, you're not making a ton of money as a policeman, so you work a lot of side jobs. And I was asked to work the Springer Show one day. And so I thought it was going to be for one day. It's almost like the 32nd anniversary, because I remember I started working there in February 1994. Mm-hmm. But I really thought it was just for one day. And, you know, they liked me, so whenever they did need security, they would bring me back. And then they said, hey, we'd like to have you full time. And then, you know, the show started getting younger and crazier. And then the producer at the time asked me to shave my head, and I shaved my head. And so it just kept building and building and building. And, you know, even now, when I look back on it, when being a policeman, at the time there was over 10,000 Chicago policemen. And to think that one of you are going to end up being, you know, a nationally syndicated talk show host, and I'm that guy, the odds are, you know, staggering. And I still, even after all these years, wake up and be like, how did that happen? So I got a lot of breaks.
You know, Steve, this is Barry. I am amazed at your story, right? Because we're offered opportunities every day. And the question is, do you take that opportunity? A lot of people don't. And you did, right? So you stepped into it and they're like, hey, would you do this? Well, sure. Why not? And you took those opportunities, and it was a stepping stone for you on all these. So there's two things. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a great point, because, you know, a lot of times, obviously, you know, people are envious or they're jealous and, oh, you're lucky, you know, you're lucky. And I said, yeah, of course I'm lucky, but luck didn't find me laying on my couch. Like, right. I tell my kids this all the time. The only thing I used my apartment for was to come home and sleep. When I wasn't sleeping,
you were hustling.
I was out of my apartment, man. I was out on the streets. I was always hustling, man.
Yep.
I worked every side job, and that's why I got asked to work the Springer Show, because the guys that asked me to work the Springer Show knew that I was a guy that would work every side job that came my way. And once I got my foot in the door at Springer, and I said, wow, it's good money, it's fun, you know, being in TV is really nice. So, yeah, when they asked me, hey, Steve, will you fly to Seattle and track down this guest? Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Hey, we have problems with this guest. Will you spend the night outside their hotel door and just sit there all night to make sure the guy doesn't leave? Yeah, I'll do that. So, hey, Steve, will you shave your head? Yeah, I'll do that. So, you know, you're right. When the opportunity got it, I kicked the door in, right?
Right. That's exactly it. I got to ask one more question. I got to turn it back over to Eric, because I'm absolutely fascinated by this. So you're a security guard for Springer, right? And of course, things are getting crazy in that show. I mean, so really, you needed the security there. But all of a sudden, one day, Jerry goes, hey, listen, I'm busy tomorrow. Could you take the show? How does that happen?
Well, what happened and I got my break was Jerry went on Dancing with the Stars, okay?
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do it, but the company was like, hey, this is a really good opportunity for you. You should do it, Jerry. So while he was gone, they didn't want to shut the production of the show down because that costs a lot of money to shut the production down. So they came to me and said, hey, you're going to host the show that Jerry's out on Dancing with the Stars. They figured he was going to be the first one voted off. Back then, we did 6 shows a week, 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. So they're like, Jerry, he doesn't know how to dance. He'll be voted off. He'll be right back. He'll do a week of shows. Right. And which was crazy because I said, and how much are you going to pay me for that? They're like, oh, no, we're not going to pay you. I go, no. So that was a little bit of I had to get extra money, and they eventually caved. Right. But Jerry ended up being on Dancing with the Stars for like 7 weeks. So, 6 times 7 is 42, And so I ended up doing a lot of shows. And then the next year, Jerry kind of realized, hey, Steve knows how to host a show. I'll take Mondays off and just have Steve. And I liked it because I made more money when I hosted the show. So Jerry got a day off. He still got paid the same, and I made a little more money. So when those shows aired, they did really well. And eventually, I think somebody at NBC said, hey, why not give this guy a show? And that's how it all worked out.
Yeah, you got your chops, right? You showed your chops. They're like, this guy, we can make money off of this. That's awesome, man. I'm jealous. That's cool.
And Steve, now your show
it worked out really well.
Yeah.
And Steve, now your show is in its 19th season. You cover a wide variety of topics in your show. What's the most important message that you hope viewers take away from some of these episodes?
You know what? I'll say this. Over the years, and I probably should have saved that. I get printouts of all the emails, and nobody writes mail anymore. But back in the day, I would get mail. And the thousands upon thousands of emails and correspondence that I would get from people watching the show at home and thanking me for saying, hey, Steve, I was in a domestic violence situation, and watching your show gave me the courage to leave it. Or I was sexually assaulted, and I was being assaulted, and watching the show gave me the courage to speak up and accuse my accuser. That is the greatest satisfaction, because not only, you try to make an impact on the people on the show, but then when you realize you're having this impact on thousands of people at home watching the show, I just, because, listen, you get tired of all those, all those years on Springer. Oh, what trailer park did you find these people from? I went from that to, hey, man, I love what you do and keep what you're doing, Steve, So I take a lot of pride in it. But I think, listen, first and foremost, we have to be entertaining, because if you're not going to be on the show. But the fact that you can help people, it's just been a great feeling.
Steve, I know we're coming up on time here. We really appreciate having you on. The last question we had for you, if our listeners were interested in checking out your show, following you on social media as well, how can they do that?
Well, you can just go to stevewilkos.com and you can check out the local listings. It'll say where you're at. You can follow me on TikTok, on Instagram. Just, type in Steve Wilkos and, you can follow me.
Wow. Steve, you're an inspiration. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you being on the air with us today. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Steve.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.